It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in Up North Journal Cabin North, Danny's in Cabin South. He's doing some sharing on social media right this second, so you can see him there busy working. But while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few of the people that help us out. And actually, you can help us by helping them going over to their website. And the first one I want to mention here is Hunter's Blend Coffee. Go over to huntersblendcoffee.com. Go over and check out their assortment of different 4 flavors they've got amongst other things there. And use the UNJ promo code. Just in the promo code section, type in the capital U, capital N, capital J, and you'll save 10% on your order when you check out over there. And a great Michigan company we love to talk about is Buck Baits. Go over and check them out. They've got some new stuff. Danny, you want to make a quick mention of new products?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking with Buck Baits before we got on the show. They've come out with Deer Camp. Basically, it's Deer Camp hand sanitizer. They just got it to market. It's FDA approved. It's 80% alcohol. And I tell you what, the way we're living and needing to wash our hands and be sanitized, why not have it everywhere? You can carry a bottle in your car. You can have it on your person. You could have it even at Deer Camp. So get on over to Buck Baits and check that out. They do have it on the website as well.
Yep, and use the Up North Journal promo code and save 20% over there when you check out with your order. Another great Michigan company that we like to talk about, Rebel 6 Rubs. Make sure you go over to their website, rebel6rubs.com. Use the North Journal promo code for 20% off your order there when checking out. And if you remember, we talked with Trips for Trade a while back. We're helping them out and helping you out. If you go to tripsfortrade.com, if you want to swap a hunt or a trip to somewhere in exchange with other fellow hunters and vacationers, you can get 20% off of your membership over there for swapping tripsfortrade.com. So
big shout out to Paul. I'm going to blow this name up. Bakunis. He's checking in live Facebook from Buffalo, New York.
All right. Thanks you for tuning in tonight. And everybody excuse our audio a little bit tonight. I think everybody's online. We're having just a little bit of digitizing of our audio, but just bear with us. Things will be all right tonight. It'll be a good show. But Danny, you taking care of business over there?
Let's get on our guest of the night.
And that is none other than Randy Stoppenhagen from Better the Hunt. Randy, what is going on all the way from Idaho?
Well, looked forward to this evening. I appreciate you guys having me on. Dan, Mike, it's good to be with you.
Hey, it's good to have you on here and talking to somewhat of a fellow Michigander, I hear.
Yeah, I was born in Michigan. My folks were kind of free spirits, and they decided if the house sold before school started when I was in 3rd grade, they were going to move out west. They fell in love with the West, and the house sold, and we moved out west.
That's a good way to move out west, man, especially as a kid at 3. You said 3rd grade? That's got to be like an adventure.
Yeah, it was. The first stop was in Colorado, and they had a really cold winter, and my dad needed work, so he called his former company, and they had an opening in Idaho, and that's how we ended up in Idaho.
Right on. Well, that's a long way from Michigan. That's all I can say.
Well, I've been on Interstate 80 plenty of times. I know the route really well.
Okay, right. Okay. Well, what's the weather like right now there near Idaho? You're in Nampa, Idaho?
Nampa.
And that's near Boise.
About 20 miles west of Boise.
Okay.
Today was a little overcast. In the spring, we do get probably the majority of our rain. We're in a high desert climate here. By the middle of next week, it'll probably be in the 70s.
Okay.
But during the summer, it'll get 105 here.
Really?
Yeah, but then overnight, it's 60s and have the windows open and nice evening breeze. But then the next day, it's 105.
I never would have guessed that it would get that doggone hot up there.
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
Now, the other side of the state, over by Idaho Falls on the east side of the state, that's a totally different climate. And then you go up north, it's even different. So even
Okay.
more different. So no matter where you are in Idaho, I mean, there's all sorts of different stuff going on. So
I got to imagine you got like a season for everybody there, no matter where you live. Or you can vacation or drive to wherever you want to go and enjoy probably just about any climate, it sounds like.
yeah, you get up in the mountains, it's usually 10 to 15 degrees cooler than down in the valley where I live.
Okay.
Which is nice during the summer. But we're still in a desert climate here. I mean, I think our annual rainfall is only a couple inches a year. So
Wow. I don't know. I've never been to Idaho, so I didn't know what to expect. I just expected big, expansive country, some mountains, and a lot of game animals to harvest out there. Target-rich environment.
Yeah, it's a very target-rich environment. I didn't start hunting till I was 30. So,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So when a guy's like that and he doesn't start hunting till he's 30, he's going to get into it heavy because he doesn't know what he's getting into.
got to make up for lost time.
And then he gets into hunting, and then all of a sudden now he's got this company called Better the Hunt. And you know what? It's one of those things that you sit there and you go, So I got to ask you first about getting into hunting at 30. Who got you into hunting at 30?
Actually, it was two cousins in Michigan, Lance and Jay. They had a cabin up in the UP. And for 27 years, I've owned a water feature business. I build custom water features and waterfalls and sometimes swimming pools. In the wintertime, that's my downtime. And they were asking me what I did during the winter. And I said, well, honey-do list and a little of this, a little of that. And they're like, well, why don't you come back here and try hunting? So I actually came back and I have the type of personality. If I really like it, I am 100% in. But if I'm not interested, then I'm not interested. And it just captivated my interest of any second it can all change. I mean, you're sitting there waiting, and I had never done it before. So sitting in a box in the woods, I expected the deer to literally walk right in front of me. And after 3 years of sitting in a box, not seeing a lot, they told me, you got to start looking through the woods and you'll see them moving. And the fourth year, I actually connected on a 125-inch 5x5. So
Nice. You mean the deer just didn't come up and present themselves broadside so you could shoot them?
No, but never having hunted before, I didn't know if they were just going to roll through at 10 feet away. I mean, so I'm sure there were deer, but I just never saw them. But knowing that any second it could all change, it was so interesting and so fascinating to me. And then when an animal did present itself, even though it may have been a doe, just the adrenaline rush, I just wanted to really dive into that. So I really did. So
it's so true that it can change it in a split second. This morning, Danny and I, we're going to hunt to 9 o'clock. That was our deal. 8:30, we'd seen 3 jakes, haven't heard nothing. And at 8:30 in the morning, we got a half hour left, and you know how it is. You're ready to start packing up and going home, like, oh, the hunt's over. And all of a sudden, we heard this massive gobble at about 100 yards in front of us on the other side of a wood patch. And it was like game on. I mean, I don't know. I know Danny's eyes got this big around, and I know mine probably did too. But it was fun. That's why we hunt, though, right?
Oh yeah. And being successful is like icing on the cake. But to me, it's the whole process. It's the talking to your buddy, planning the hunt, packing the gear up, going through stuff, hopping in the vehicle, getting in that mindset, the camp camaraderie. And then going out and knowing, you got to be quiet and you got to play the wind and just all the things that go into it. It just fires me up talking about it. But to me, that's the whole part of hunting. And then being successful, that's just the culmination of it. But even if you're not successful, to me, being out there and doing that is such a reward. So
you learn something every single time. I've been hunting since I was just a little kid with my dad, and Danny and I, we spent 4 days, sun up to sundown, out in the woods. We come in, I think, Dan, for maybe an hour and a half to make breakfast real quick, and then bang, out we went. And I've hunted our place. I just remember it was 24 years this year, the property that we were on, and we wound up in places that I hadn't been, but maybe once, maybe twice, and learned some new things, and places that I'd never ever been. So it's you always learn something new. That's the beauty of it.
Oh yeah, you never stop learning.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got to ask. Okay, so you moved out to Idaho, but you came back to Michigan to start hunting, and now you're in Idaho. I imagine you hunt Idaho quite a bit too. I would think.
Well, that's the thing. My cousins were like, "You understand? You live in a state with a lot more diverse animals,
right?"
To hunt. Yeah. So I actually spent a couple winters just going out to a gentleman's property and watching the mule deer in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And then my cousin Lance actually came out and helped me get my first mule deer, a little forky, but I was so proud of that deer.
Right on.
Then from there, bear, mountain lion, and elk, especially elk. If I had to give everything else up and could hunt one animal only, it would be elk.
I went on my first elk hunt here in Michigan this year. Didn't get one, but I tell you what, there's something about it, it draws you in. I can somewhat understand it. I'd love to come out and hunt out west somewhere for elk, but I can understand it. But man, you've got some great animal diversity out there. That's amazing to be able to hunt that many species.
Yeah, pronghorn. We have turkeys. This spring I went out and hunted turkey, unsuccessful. That is one animal. I mean, I don't know if it's the mountains, but they'll hit a ridge, and then you got to play the ridges, and you think they're going to the bottom, so you go all the way to the bottom, and they're back up on the ridge. And
they play mind games with you.
Yeah, turkeys.
Danny and I got turned inside out all week. It's maddening, but fun. That's something.
Oh, it
else.
is. It's fun.
Well, what's it like, the difference? I mean, obviously mountains are a big difference between Idaho and Michigan, but, styles of hunting, compare and contrast maybe a little bit, so some of the Midwest guys that's never been out west can understand.
Well, strap on your boots. There's a lot of climbing involved. Usually, because I'm kind of a heavy set guy, always have been, taking off in the morning and try to stay all day out.
Okay.
Instead of coming back to camp, because you may take off from camp, especially mule deer hunting, and you're climbing, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 feet in elevation, and you're always a lot of glassing, a lot of time behind the glass, spotting scopes, and then once you find the animal, of course, it comes down to playing the wind, trying to get in close enough without being seen, and then executing the shot, whether it's a rifle. Of course, bow hunting is a whole different breed of cat. That late season mule deer hunt is, if you're dealing with snow, it's crunch, 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 and they know you're around. So that's a lot harder. If you're successful in a late mule deer hunt, you've accomplished something. So
something you kind of alluded to, the difference between you spend a lot of time on glass. I went out to Colorado 2008, I believe, with a friend. And I was on glass a lot. That was the one thing we were prepared for, is to spend time on it. But being compared out there, we're flatlanders. And you hunt timber here, like you said, you sit in a box blind. Do you think that's something that maybe the Midwestern people here kind of overlook, maybe, is spending time on glass and just sitting and waiting for opportunities instead of really using glass to see game?
You mean like in a ground blind? Back east.
Well, yeah. Even in a ground blind, I take mine with me, but I'm on glass quite a bit. Even in a ground blind. Do you think that's? I don't know if a lot of people do that or not, but I didn't until I went out west and learned that.
Well, I know for me, but then again, my cousins did try to explain to me how to hunt, but until you've actually seen your first animal in the woods, especially in the thick northern, U.P. woods and the swamps and stuff, I think the binoculars, if I would have known what I was looking for, the horizontal line versus all the vertical trees,
right?
But never having done that before, for me, I don't know if the binoculars would have helped me. But now that I know what I'm doing, like out west in the early season of elk, I'll actually hunt out of a tree stand over a game trail. And I have pretty good hearing. So if I hear a snap or, and you look maybe down that trail, you may not see them, but you pick up in the binoculars and all of a sudden you see a patch of hair. So the binoculars, I think, serve a great purpose. And I've watched enough hunting shows, especially back east, where guys will be up in a tree and they're scanning, and all of a sudden they'll pick up movement, and they immediately grab their binoculars to judge the animal to see if it's a buck or a doe before all of a sudden it's on them and they're surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I think the binoculars have a place, definitely.
Danny, how about you up there in UP? I mean, you're familiar. You hunt in UP. Are you on glass a lot up there?
You know, you sit there, and depending on where you're at, if you're in tight in the swamps, not so much. But when you're sitting on the ridges and you catch movement, absolutely, you're getting on the glass trying to catch out that horizontal amongst the vertical. And yeah, every once in a while you'll catch an ear or catch an eyeball or catch a tail just kind of staring at you, and it puts you into that. Oh, there you are, right. And definitely gets you. Definitely glassing. Like we were this week. We were glassing a lot, and it was one of those things. Definitely, binoculars play a big part.
I'll tell you what, we're running up here on our first break. Let's take a quick step outside. The reason we got Randy on tonight is talk about some products that he's got, and when we come back, let's dive into what you've got, Randy, and share it with some of the people out there.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to take a quick step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. We're sitting here talking with Randy Stoppenhagen from Better the Hunt, and he's all the way out in Idaho, and we're here in Michigan, and we want to talk about these products. So we met you at ATA, Randy, and we saw what you had there, and this to me is something that's it's worth definitely looking into for people out there. Kind of talk about your product line and kind of how this all got rolling.
Okay. Well, being a bow hunter, our late bow season is December 5th through the 20th. And up in Elk City, Idaho, on average, the temperature is minus 14 to minus 28. And that's cold. I had done it enough years that we're hunting a herd of deer that migrate. They head out of the high country and they end up in the low valleys during the winter to survive. So on average, the first time I set up a tree stand, I had over 50 deer a day walk right under my tree.
Okay.
And that's a lot of grabbing a minus 28 degree instrument and hoping the deer gives you the shot, or is that the right one? And you can see them coming and they're a ways off, so you grab your bow. Well, I got tired of sitting there. Nope, that's not the one. Hang my bow up, do this, try to warm my hands. Here comes the next one. So I went back to the hotel that night, and I had a hand warmer muff that you put your hands in, and I took a pair of scissors and I cut it in half.
Okay.
And I cut a slice in the bottom and a slice in the top, and I put it around the grip of the bow, stapled it, and then went out the next day, and it worked. I mean, it needed to have adjustability, but it kept my hand warmer.
Right.
And I actually have it right here. This was the very first Bow Mitt.
That's the first one.
This is the actual one. This, as you can see, the elastic here. This was part of a muff, and then I took it, cut it, brought it around the grip, and stapled it, and then that's how I held my bow. Which, through 2 years of testing and 8 prototypes later, this is the final product. It's fully adjustable because we all have a different hand size and we all put our palm differently on the riser. I'm just a relaxed fingered shooter, but some guys are side, some gals, and then they're high wrist, low palm, open finger. So this mitt is adjustable to accommodate everybody's hand size, and yet you're shooting with the same palm against the back of the riser. I don't know if you can see inside there very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the riser. I put my hand in there. I can sit there, because before I used to hang my bow, but I always felt, because there was so much deer activity, And plus the first couple hours at night, or first couple hours in the morning, the last couple hours at night, I wanted to be able to hold my bow, because they'll come up on you quick, they'll catch you off guard, and now not only are you trying to deal with the deer, you're trying to look up to get your bow off the hanger while having it down in your lap. I have minimal movement. My eyes have never left the deer. Now, if that deer walks behind a tree for 20 minutes, I don't care anymore because my hand is protected from whatever Mother Nature's throwing at it. Yet, when I go to shoot, the same palm is against the back of that riser. There's no arrow interference. It's not going to hit the string. The string will actually, even if you're fully extended, that string is going to hit your coat before it ever gets to the mitt.
Right.
So through 2 years of testing, 8 prototypes later, we made a mitt that'll fit every bow, accommodate everybody's hand size and shooting style. And now it'll benefit you because you can, first couple hours in the morning, last couple hours at night, or all day. You know how the early season, maybe you've experienced this because I have, you have to keep a death grip on your bow when it's in your lap, because if you relax your hand, where does the bow usually go?
Right.
20 feet to the ground.
Right.
Well, the mitt...
Hey, Randy?
Yeah.
One question we do have coming across, does it matter what kind of bow you use for the Bow Mitt? Can you use a recurve, a compound, longbow? Is there any restrictions? One of the questions is asking.
Actually, that's a great question. It can be used on a recurve. It's a little trickier on a longbow. But a recurve, some recurves now actually have a stabilizer threaded insert. If your recurve does not have an insert for a stabilizer, you go to Home Depot, you buy that black foam that it's slotted and it goes around your copper pipe out in the garage to keep the pipes warm so they don't freeze or condensate. That black pipe has friction to it and it'll open up. It doesn't weigh anything, and you slide it underneath the bottom of the mitt. Because on a recurve, if you took your hand out of the mitt, where's the mitt going to go? It's going to go all the way down to the bottom of the limb.
Uh-oh. We lost him. Picture froze up.
Tell you what, we were worried about this tonight because it was a little tricky, but we'll get him back on here. Speaking of that, Paul, you said Bone Cold TV crew used it flawlessly in Greenland for muskox. You're right. That definitely is a game changer. No doubt about it. Like I said, guys, we met him at ATA, Randy, and we discussed this. The Bow Mitt that he's talking about right now was the start of the conversation. And, it was definitely a game changer, I thought, just in that situation. But, Paul, like you said, using it in Greenland for muskox, I tell you what, if that isn't proving what the versatility of this mitt can be and used for, I tell you what, it's one of those things that it's pretty cool. And hopefully we get him back on here soon so we can see the rest of his line, all 4 of them that he's got for the crossbow, the rifle, and the shotgun. Oh, Tammy. No, Mike did not get me to wrestle a porcupine, okay? Just a little off topic, I know, but no, he did not. And I see, I'm watching Mike in the corner of my eye, so I know he's trying to reconnect with Randy there.
Yeah, I think
and Mike's getting his headphones back on, and we'll find out what's going to go on here.
Okay, everybody, I'm back, Danny. Right now he's having an internet issue out there, and he's going to try to reconnect. Yep. And then we'll try to get him back on here. So,
absolutely, because we're just getting into the nuts and bolts of just the Bow Mitt itself. You're back?
Yes, he is having internet issues out there. All of a sudden, his connection just went bye-bye. So, don't know what's going on out there. But I tell you what,
we got a couple of viewers on here that are using it, and they've answered some questions here. So it's been really good.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah, so it does come in a right and left hand model. It does come with heating pads, places to put heating pads. So if you want to take those hand warmers and put them in the mitt, it comes with a place to put those. I answered Tammy's question about wrestling a porcupine. That didn't happen.
I was trying to sell tickets. Yes, I was.
Right?
I tell you what, let's go to a commercial break right now. Let's go ahead and take our break.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market, has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
All right, welcome back. Third segment of the show, and Randy is feverishly attempting to reconnect to the internet. So until then,
internet.
Yeah. Until then, we will carry on here and keep things rocking along. But yeah, I put this on my bow.
On your bow, Mike.
Yeah.
So you had the mitt, and to put it on your PSE there.
Yeah, I got it on the Evolve 31.
Just a couple of straps, and you had it in place.
There's 3 straps, and then there's the connection that I made with my stabilizer bar. And it took, less than a minute. I read through the instructions, obviously, and kind of figured that out. But when I put it on, it went right on. So, but like Randy was saying, awesome. What I like about it is the fact that my hand is in contact with the riser. There's nothing between my hand and the riser, which to me, that's the huge part of it. That way you don't risk losing any form or anything like that. What I plan on doing is taking, and hopefully this week, if the weather plays nice, getting out, and I want to shoot with this on my bow.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was saying is that we're going to get them on our bows, start practicing with them. So when we get to cold weather, those cold mornings.
Which might be June. July, August, the way this year's going.
It's Michigan, so it
could happen.
It could be. It's Michigan, so it could happen at any time.
That's right. So, but yeah, I'm anxious to get out and shoot. I haven't shot my bow in 2 months, and it's driving me totally insane. Every chance I've had to shoot, it's either been raining or the wind's been blowing 40 miles an hour, and that's no joke. We've had a windy year here. So, what was that?
And that's funny you said that because we're talking about shooting our bows. June 7th, we're going to have, or June, what is it?
June 14th.
I got to check my notes. It's June 14th. We're going to have Bobby from PSE on talking about bows.
Yep.
Getting us back into it for target and what's upcoming for this hunting season.
Yep, absolutely. Going to have him on, and hopefully I've put quite a few arrows down range. I cannot wait, like I said, to get back out and start shooting. I got to get the Evolve 28 out. I want to put this on the 28. That's the one that I'm going to hunt with. This is the one from the year previous, 31. So I threw it on here real quick just because I had access to it tonight. So
right, exactly. Terry, my brother says, Mike, you're going to have bad luck because you cut your hair.
No, there's no bad luck. No. The bad luck was I'm tick free. Exactly. To kind of allude to that, that's the reason I cut my hair off and I shaved my beard because, Danny had me sit in a nice little tick-infested environment. I don't know.
Picked it.
I don't know. You didn't stop me. Well, you didn't say a word. But, You're right, I didn't. Actually, we sat down and I noticed a tick on me right away, and I looked around and I'm like, pine needle forest floor, we're in the wrong spot. Didn't even think twice about it, to tell you the truth. But,
big shout out to Ron Carter tuning in from South Georgia.
All right, there you go, all the way from Georgia. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Still don't have.
And Race Deer here says that, and you can attest to this so far, just holding it on the bow, that it doesn't affect or interfere with any part of your shooting mechanics. He's been using the Bow Mitt while shooting some of the indoor and outdoor 3D leagues, IAA shoots as well. So
okay, hang on one second. I'm gonna give Randy a call here. Hey, Randy, it's Mike.
Hope.
Yeah, are you making any headway? Okay. Okay. Let's see what we got here. We might have him back, guys.
So exactly. So Mike's on the phone trying to get Randy back on. Hopefully next weekend we'll talk about our turkey hunt, and we'll discuss
I'm
that.
gonna hang him now.
All right, he's back. All right. Okay, I got to make one connection, folks. So I tell you what I'm going to do. Danny, I'm going to pop you up one more time here and let you carry it for a second.
All right. While Randy was feverishly getting back, Randy, we had a couple of questions come on up. Ray Steer, who was gracious enough to offer up some answers for that. There was a couple of questions out there, whether it could be right hand, left hand, and Ray Steer was able to answer those questions. Can you put a heat pad in it and stuff like that? And those were all answered.
Yep.
So
yeah, Ray Steyer is one of my pro staff guys in Michigan. He's very knowledgeable. He's used the mitt for years and taken a lot of animals with it. So thank you, Ray, for coming to the rescue. I appreciate it.
Hey, we made all the connections back to Idaho.
Right on.
I don't know what happened there. I probably an elk ran through and knocked down a power line or something there. I think that's what happened.
My friends and I have talked because our cell phones, all of a sudden you'll be driving along and it'll just drop.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no warning. And they are replacing the old towers with 5G towers, and we don't know if that's it or what's going on.
We'll keep working
but there's
on
a
it.
lot of people on their computers and phones and stuff. So
that's true. That's we see this every night about this time on Sunday night. We go live. We have issues. There's a little hiccup here, a little hiccup there. So it's just what we're dealing with right now. So
right.
But we got you back.
Thank you. Thank you for being patient. Glad to be back.
Hey, not a problem. So we're talking about the bow mitts and everything, and I think you were talking about the longbow and putting a piece of pipe covering over to keep it from sliding down.
Right. I'll use my compound as an example, but if this string stopper and the stabilizer wasn't there, this mitt would slide a little ways, but then as this part of the riser grows, it would stop the mitt from sliding all the way down compared to a recurve.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I pulled my hand out on a recurve, that mitt would slide all the way down the limb. Well, right underneath here, if you take that black foam that you can buy at Home Depot that's cut on one side, just open it up and slide it underneath here. The friction will hold that foam in place. There were a big recurve group out of, I don't know if it was Nebraska or South Dakota, but they called me when they saw the mitt the first year it was out, and they wondered if we could make it work, and that's how we resolved it, and it worked for them. So
good deal.
Yeah,
gotta like that instant engineering, making things work.
There you go.
Randy.
What's that?
You're talking about your left hand or right hand, the one that's holding the bow. But do you have a mitt that you can use for your other hand as well?
We still got you?
Well,
yep, you're there. You're there.
Yeah, I know. It cut out for a second. This is what we call the Multi Mitt. The Multi Mitt, because going out and doing the shows, the bow hunters were like, hey, you've solved the problem for my bow hand, but what about my release hand? And there are gloves out there that have a hole in them that you put your release through. But one thing, if we remember back when we were kids, our parents sent us to school in what? Mittens instead of gloves. And the reason why, when you put a glove on, you're isolating each finger and you're causing each finger to be its only source of heat. Whereas in a mitten, all of your hand is helping to keep everything warm.
Right.
So this multi-mitt, this elastic can either go on your belt loop or it can go around your wrist. Then you rotate your hand with your release. You sit there, you're holding your bow in your lap, you've got your mitt on, the deer shows up, your hand comes out, release comes out, protected from the elements, bring your bow up, draw, the string is here and here, so the mitt is nowhere near it, your release is on and you let her go. Yeah, and then you just rotate your hand back in.
Nice.
But what we found was going and doing the consumer shows, plus I have a friend here in Idaho whose son made a style of mitt that went on to the back of a shotgun when they were out pheasant hunting, and he called it the stock sock. And he came to me, and plus me going out and doing all the consumer shows, I was hit both directions with, hey, what about the rifle guy? What about the shotgun guy? What about the crossbow guy? So this mitt not only works for an archer, this elastic goes on the back of a stock of a gun, and then we made the mitts for the front part of the gun. So you're sitting there, you're holding your weapon, same thing. Your hand drops out, the mitt stays in place, your finger goes on the trigger, you take the shot. And I have an example of that right here on the shotgun, right here.
Okay.
You just rotate your hand in, holding it like this, got your front hand here. You can sit there in the blind, pull your hand out, put put your hand back in with the call, ducks fly over, call stays in the mitt.
Dead duck.
Yeah, exactly. and this is the shotgun mitt. These 3 holders are for extra shells. The top of it has spandex. Now, this is a pump. The spandex is riding on top of the rib. When I pull it up, the spandex sits low and tight, doesn't interfere with the view. But you can also take, considering this is a pump, you remove your barrel stay, pull the barrel off. The mitt slides onto the forearm of the gun. Then you put the barrel back in, and the barrel rides on top of the spandex if you want to put it on that way.
Oh, okay.
So but the reason I have it set up like this is for the semi-auto and the auto guys.
Gotcha.
You can put it here. There's no reason to take your barrel off. So
right.
But for the pump guys, I mean, you can run this 2 different ways. So
okay, nice.
But one thing I want to show you. Let me grab just the mitt. So this is the shotgun mitt, and it's showing you with a couple fake shells in there.
Mm-hmm.
But on the inside of the mitt, just like the Bow Mitt, any of our mitts, this interior fabric is breathable.
Hold that right up to the camera there if you could. There you go. So you guys get a good look at that. You can see that there.
Yep. And then there's 200 grams of thinsulate. And then this year for 2020, all of our mitts are, unless you go swimming, 100% waterproof.
Ah.
There's a waterproof membrane on the back side of the fabric.
Okay.
So now the wind is not going to penetrate the mitt, and the moisture is not going to penetrate the mitt. Now the Bow Mitt, which we have in 3 different camos, this is a treason camo Bow Mitt.
Mm-hmm.
This camo mitt will keep water at bay for about 6 to 7 hours in a normal rain, and a downpour maybe 3 to 5.
Okay.
And then eventually moisture will start penetrating. This has a DWR sprayed in the fabric, whereas this mitt, water is not going to penetrate this fabric.
Okay.
Eventually, this Bow Mitt will be made with the same fabric as this mitt, but for right now, we still have inventory of the camo mitts. So until these are gone, but this is a great mitt. It's worked for years for a lot of people. So,
mm-hmm.
But inside of this mitt, getting back to this, let me pull this inside out. You see that? That's a hanging hand warmer pocket.
Okay.
The mitt by itself is good with normal circulation to about 25 degrees. After that, when it starts getting colder, you activate a hand warmer, throw it in that pocket. It's not going to fall out,
mm-hmm.
but that heat will radiate inside here. I've actually personally sat in minus 48 or minus 28 and held my bow all day.
Okay.
Now, the Bone Cold TV guys from New York, they went on a muskox hunt. They were in minus 48. And they shot their muskox with a bare hand inside of their Bow Mitt. So
the bare hand, like once again, is on that riser, and that mitt's wrapping that hand at negative 48, keeping them warm.
Right.
With their insulator.
And people have asked me, can I still wear a thin glove?
Mm-hmm.
You bet. That interior fabric is smooth, so it's not going to catch your thin glove. You can just slide it in if you want, because some people still want to hang their bow.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the moment comes, they grab their bow. Now the deer walks behind a tree for 30 minutes, or he's dinking around doing something. You no longer do you go
right.
or decide to hang your bow up. Now you can sit there and wait him out and concentrate on the shot instead of, should I hang my bow up or what? My hand's freezing. That takes all that away. So
right. Yeah, it's
we've talked about the Bow Mitt and we've talked about the shotgun one. Relatively speaking, what's our price point when we're looking at those 2 items, and where can we go to look at your website to better get an overall view of these mitts?
On the website, betterthehunt.com, when you go to the website, you'll see the Bow Mitt. Then if you go to the shop button and click on the shop button, it'll take you to the future products that are coming the 1st of July, which is the rifle, the shotgun, the crossbow mitt, and the multi mitt, which is new for this year. So
there you go. Get over there and check it out.
That's awesome. Absolutely.
Do you want to see? Do you want to see the rifle mitt?
Absolutely.
Well, we'll take it. We'll take it. Well, how about we take a break? Are we close to a break?
Okay. Actually, no. I mean, we've got one more break to take, Danny. So I mean, we've got a while here because we ran short in that last segment due to Ma Bell playing tricks on us.
Ma Bell,
Randy?
boy, that dates us, doesn't
right?
it?
Randy, take the rifle one away.
Okay. This is the rifle mitt. at the top is an EVA mold. It says Better the Hunt. What that does is it keeps the mitt under the scope, and it keeps it from crumpling up. And I'll show you why we made it that way. Same thing, there's a hanging hand warmer pocket inside, but this strap is a stabilizer strap, and it's removable. You can unclip it and take it off if you don't want it. But if you're teaching your kids, or you're teaching your wife, or you're out there doing some long range shooting, this cuff right here, it opens up. You put it around your bicep, you tighten it down on the outside of your coat. If wintertime, you have a coat on. Then you bring the rifle up and you grab this strap and you pull on it. And what that does is now distance between your bicep and the gun, and it sucks the gun right down into your shoulder for a stable shot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And young kids and women that are just learning to shoot, or even young men that are learning to shoot, the tendency is, what do? They scope themselves because they don't have that gun sucked into their shoulder, and they end up popping themselves right in the eyebrow. This helps take that away. But if you're a seasoned hunter and you don't need that, you just unclip it and it removes out of the way. But now you can sit there with a Multi Mitt on the back. Same thing, it's got 3 holders for extra shells, so you're not digging in your pocket in case you're not the best of shot. You can instantly grab another round, rack it. But now I can sit there instead of propping my gun up somewhere. I mean, I can sit in a tree like this all day. My hand is toasty warm, yet when I go to shoot, I'm shooting with the same bare hands that I practiced with all summer.
Yeah, that's
and
so
the
important.
Shotgun Mitt. What's that? Go ahead.
I say that bare hand on the forearm, like the bow on the riser, keeping that same form is so important, and that allows you to do that.
Well, usually rifle season's in November or even December in some places, or muzzleloader. This will fit a muzzleloader. You're wearing a big bulky glove, and you rest that fore end of the gun on that bulky glove. It's going to be moving and squishing around, and I want to be able to hold that gun, hold that rifle steady. And the same with the shotgun. When you're out there in the duck blind or the goose blind, I've got some of my pro staff guys that have used that quite extensively, even spring turkey hunting. And it's a game changer because they don't have to rest their gun somewhere and try to warm their hands up because they don't want to wear gloves.
Yep.
This allows you to be out in the woods concentrating on why you're out there, because let's all admit it. I mean, we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort to pursue things that we love, the game. And we spend, I love asking guys that shows this with their wife standing there next to them, how much did you spend on your hunting coat? How much did you spend on your boots? All that stuff to try to keep you warm. And yet, what do we tell our hands every year?
Yeah.
You know, and we're trying to rip our gloves off. I mean, I've got a lot of lefts and a lot of right hand odd and ends mitt because the other one's sitting on a hillside somewhere.
Right.
Or I lost it. So these mitts allow you to be out there, to concentrate on why you're out there, and to be successful.
Well, that's why we're there. Like you said, why do you not put the money into making your whole body comfortable? That's the biggest thing I tell. Like, we bring kids up from Indiana to hunt with us sometimes to do doe management. And I always tell them, I said, this is a cold weather environment up here. It's not like southern Indiana. You've got to dress for the December hunts. And they come up, and some of them are quite miserable because they don't have the right boots, the right gloves, the right hat, whatever. So, yeah, head to toe, you've got to be prepared. I mean, I can see that.
Well, and as a quick side story to that, my cousins, the first year I went back to Michigan, and you got to remember I come from a dry climate. And I said, do I need to bring some warm clothes? And they're like, yeah, bring some warm clothes. Randy wore cotton.
Oh, no.
Yeah, up in the UP.
That's gonna be brutal.
Cotton kills, as they say.
That was brutal. So
Yeah.
I learned, I mean, but yeah.
Well, it's definitely something that people need to be looking into. I mean, like, the thing that just I really like about it is having that bare hand contact with whatever firearm or bow that you're using. It's to me, form. That just means everything. You've got to have good form, and if you don't, when you get down to that critical shot, you don't want to screw it up, because your hands are cold and you've got a glove on, whatever. I always hunt with my riser hand bare when I'm using a bow in late season, and I keep it in my pocket. But I won't be this year. I tell
you, you'll find it's a big game changer. And I understand people are apprehensive. I mean, rifle hunters and shotgun hunters don't tend to be as finicky as a bow hunter. And I'm a bow hunter myself. And I've had a lot of guys walk up to the show and they just look at that and they go, man, I don't know. I think it's going to make me torque my bow. I think it's going to hit the string. And I understand that. But I offer, I'm like, here, let me put it on your bow, or let me send you over to a shooting trailer. Darton's been really nice with me. They've had shooting trailers, and they've allowed me to send people over there. And they go and flip one arrow, and they come back and they go, oh my goodness. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't do anything to affect anything. All it's doing is keeping your hand warm and comfortable so you can concentrate on why you're out there instead of how bad your hand hurts. So.
Right. Well, when I put this one on today, I went through the instructions. It took me less than a minute, and then I put it on the bow less than a minute. And at first, I had those same questions, and I saw it at the show at ATA. I was paying attention to what you were doing with it there, but still, when I put it on my bow, I was like, is it going to work on this one? And I'm looking at it, and I'm flipping, my rest, making sure that it's going to clear and everything, and it's built for it. Is all I can say.
Well,
nice setup.
I mean, that 2 years and those 8 prototypes, I mean, it was incredible. We'd open it up and, okay, well, a PSC bow and a Bowtech and a Matthews, I mean, they're all different. And that's why you bought the bow you did, because it felt good in the palm of your hand. So we had to massage that mitt. And if I was actually able to open the mitt in half, you'd look at the shape of it and it's crazy looking, but there's a reason why there's every curve, every cut, and why the buckles and straps are where they are. The very top strap on like this mitt, inside is a finger pocket. That's where you throw your hand warmer. There was no place to put a hanging hand warmer pocket. So the finger pocket serves 2 purposes. 1 for the hand warmer, and 2, when you're carrying your bow out in the woods, it keeps the metal off your fingers. But yet, if you see the palm of my hand is exposed, then you bring it around. This grommet, this little spot here, is for your stabilizer. Now, if you want to, you can bypass this. You don't have to use that. Like if you want to take your mitt on, off, on, off, on, off. But most people, once they put their mitt on, it's on for the duration of the season. So that's what that's for, is for your stabilizer. Once that's done, you bring the mitt around. This is the only strap that goes this way. This strap allows the mitt to close down at the top to keep it below the arrow shelf for safety. But you only want to snug it. You don't want to reef it tight, because you want the mitt to spin and maneuver so that your hand isn't fighting it when you have your hand in there. The other 2 straps are simply because we all have a different hand size and we all shoot with a different palm on the bow. I'm just a relaxed fingered shooter, so that mitt is pretty much set up roughly for me. But let's say I was an open or side finger shooter, and I have pretty good sized hands. You can push, now the mitt expands out, take the slack out, now I'm an open fingered shooter, but yet the mitt comes up, levels off, and still teardrops away.
I like that. That's a good explanation of that, because, when I put this on, I kind of cinched everything down a little bit. And I'm like, it's a little tight, but, and I loosened that front one up, and I understood what that did. But those other 2 that you just explained for open hand, it makes perfect sense. I just did it. I just did it while you explained it, and voila, there it is.
There you go. And then once you get it adjusted for you, take the slack back out, because you don't want it flopping around. But that 200 grams of thinsulate and that waterproofing or water repellency built into the fabric, you can now sit there, hold your bow all day if you want to, or rest it in your lap. And that's what I was telling you is, how you have to keep a death grip on your bow early season? Well, with this mitt, the fact that the mitt's attached to the bow, the weight of your hand is sitting in the mitt, the weight of the bow is on the mitt, you can sit there with it in your lap and you can relax your hand, and the bow won't slip off your lap. So you can completely relax. The deer shows up slowly. Oh, he's looking at me. Oh, okay, here he comes. My eyes have never left that animal.
You don't have to fumble and figure out where everything's at. You just do what you need to do. Yeah.
Right.
Danny, you're awful quiet over there.
I'm just letting him explain it, because you know what? I'm
Are you putting yours on?
About the bow the whole time, and I'm kind of feeling like we're leaving out the crossbow type people.
I think he's got that covered. I bet he does.
Yeah. Now the crossbow mitt was the last one, and besides the friend of mine's boy here in Idaho, going out and doing 3 years of consumer shows, because I traveled from Ohio to New York to Pennsylvania to Michigan to Wisconsin to Iowa doing the consumer shows, a lot of hunters came up and they went, well, I'm a bow hunter and that's awesome, but I'm also a rifle hunter. Or I'm also a shotgun hunter. What can you do for a mitt? So between the two things, that's where the rifle and shotgun mitt came and the birth of the Multi Mitt. Now, I've had people the last year I went out, which would have been last fall. Yeah. Or no, spring ago, 2019, when I was on the road. A lot of crossbow hunters, because there were like 20 states back east that made crossbow hunting legal, Michigan and or maybe it was 2 years ago. Anyway, there were a ton more crossbow hunters that walked up to me and said, hey, I set my bow down. I now hunt with a crossbow. Can you make something for us? That was a little trickier, but we got it done.
And what do you got?
Oh, you want to see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
I love show and tell.
Okay. This crossbow right here, the way it works, when you order a crossbow mitt, this is the crossbow mitt. And if you notice, the crossbow mitt and the rifle and shotgun, they're pretty much built on the same platform. It's the same body, but then the top is different. And the front of this one has a gusset because crossbows, I mean, they come in every configuration known to man.
Right.
But one of the biggest concerns that the crossbow industry has had is guys and gals are so excited about that animal coming in that they might accidentally get their fingers above the finger guard, and then we all know what happens.
Right.
This mitt, once installed, there's no way to get your fingers above the finger guard.
Ah.
So it's also a safety feature. So the only way to get this mitt to fit every crossbow is when you order one, and again, it comes internally, there's a hanging hand warmer pocket inside there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same waterproofing. It'll come with a set of adhesive Velcro pieces that'll fit almost every crossbow finger guard. You peel back and you adhere it to the underneath of the finger guard, no matter if it's vented or if it's solid.
Okay.
This adhesive will stick, and I would suggest doing it inside a heated home instead of out in your blind when it's minus 20. It'll definitely adhere better inside of your home.
Don't put it together when you get to the blind, in other words.
Right. Once you get this, I would peel the adhesive strips, and let me show you what that looks like. I'll take this one right off.
Okay.
That is the rigid part of the Velcro. This, I believe, is there's the loop and the lock.
Yep.
I think this is the loop. Yep. That's the lock. Okay, so these, I put them on, and then I cut them because the finger guard shape is different on every crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
Some are shorter, wider, longer. But then once those are on, you literally take one side, set it on there, press, then you come to the other side, line it up, press it. And when we were making the Bow Mitt, we talked about, in the early stages, Velcro.
Mm-hmm.
And I know most hunters aren't big fans of Velcro, but at the time to make this fit every crossbow, mm-hmm. This was the only way we could figure out how to do it. Now we're in the process of coming up with a couple other things, and all these mitts are patent pending. The Bow Mitt is patented, so we're coming up with a different style. But for right now, when you put your hand in there, it's not going to make any noise.
Right.
But and this crossbow actually has one of those drop pistol grips,
mm-hmm.
and I can operate it and drop it right down if I want to. Now my hand is on that pistol grip, and I can sit there. Same thing. I take the Multi Mitt, if I can find one here. Okay. So you take it, the Multi Mitt, we put a buckle. Let me set this thing down here so I don't cause an accident. But there's a buckle.
Okay.
So you can unbuckle it, because we realize that crossbows on the back have the hole opening, and there's really no place to slide the strap like a rifle stock. So you just take it, clip it. There we go. I'll show you.
Right on.
Yep. Same thing. So now you're sitting out there first couple hours in the morning, last couple hours at night when you really want to be holding your weapon. Now I can do it. I can sit there. Oh, there he is. And I'm ready to go.
Nice.
Same bare hands.
Gotta like that.
I tell you, you gotta love it. The crossbow hunters that are out there.
What I like about it is the first thing he's talking about, that safety feature, keeping those fingers and thumb down below that rail. Like you said, yeah, there's no way you can put that up there. that alone to me is just, I know somebody personally who's lost the end of their thumb due to that. And it's nasty. It is so nasty.
It is.
Well, we're proud of our line. A lot of thought. I mean, the Crossbow Mitt, the Rifle Mitt, and Shotgun Mitt have been out in the field. The rifle and shotgun have been tested now for almost 2 years. Pro staff, as well as some TV personality, Bone Cold TV, and some others have used them. The Crossbow Mitt has been used one season. Now, it might be used this spring for turkey by some people. I don't know yet, but all the responses I've gotten back is it is a game changer. And I've personally used the Rifle Mitt up in Elk City, and I sat in the rain all day, and it wasn't much fun, but I wanted to prove to myself that mitt was 100% waterproof, and it was, and my hands were toasty warm, and it was about 26, 25 degrees out. So
yeah, and here in Michigan we do lots of that late season stuff, so invaluable, as far as trying to keep them digits warm. You and I talked a little bit earlier during the day, and you're talking about the universal mitt that you've got there. What do you call that again?
Well, originally we called it a trigger mitt.
Trigger mitt, okay.
Okay, but what happened was my daughter said, "Dad, let's do a Christmas show," and I'm like, "No," and she's like, "Well, let's do it. You sell a lot of mitts at Christmas time, and it's an awesome gift." And I'm like, "Okay." So in Boise, they have the Boise Christmas show, and it's predominantly attended by women, and there's all sorts of crafts, and so okay, let's do it. And I had more women come up to me and say, "Hey, that mitt, I'd buy 2 of them, and I'd clip them on my stroller, or I'd go to my son's football games and I'd clip one to each of my belt loops. That way I'm not having to set my gloves down. I can pull them out real quick, clap my hand, put them back in." So somebody told me, if you call it the trigger mitt, you're kind of pigeonholing yourself, because there's so much more versatility to that mitt. So instead of calling it a trigger mitt, we call it the Multi Mitt.
The Multi Mitt, there you go.
Yep, because it serves a lot of different purposes.
And one of the big questions is you've got the rifle, the crossbow, the shotgun, the bow mitt. When are these all going to be available, or when can people get their hands on them?
Well, the Bow Mitt is currently in stock in the 3 camos. We've got mossy oak tree stand, mossy oak brush, and treason camo. And then the rifle, shotgun, crossbow, and Multi Mitt should be here ready for sale 1st of July. Now, because of everything that's going on, hopefully the product is here by the 1st of July. If not, it won't be far behind that, but we're hoping for a 1 July. And on Facebook and Instagram, if you want, follow Better the Hunt, because we're doing some promotions. We're going to start doing some educational videos coming up next month. And then starting in July, we actually have some really cool promotions that are going to be tied in with these new mitts. But one thing I want to let everybody know is, because of what's going on, and fabric is limited, materials limited, the buckles, the straps, the webbing, everything that it takes to make the product. I only was able to order like the new mitts that are coming, even though this color right here is Loden green. Now this color is going to be available next year, but there was enough of this fabric available that these were the final samples that they made for me. So this color is going to be available next year. The colors that will be available the 1st of July are an earth brown and a tactical black. And they're awesome. And I asked for some of those samples, but they're so tight on fabric that they were like, "We don't want to take away from your order to send you samples." So when those mitts come, hopefully the 1st of July, the retail value, the rifle, the shotgun, the crossbow, or the bow mitt, they're online at betterthehunt.com for $59.95. And then the Multi Mitt will sell on the website for $39.95. But we're going to be running promotions. But one thing I want to let everybody know is I was only able to order total between the brown and black, like let's say Rifle Mitt, I was only able to order about 900 of those. So when they're gone, they're gone. And I have about 900 crossbow mitts. I have about 900 shotgun mitts. So you take 900, 900, 900. if you order a Rifle Mitt, you may want to order a Multi Mitt. So I ordered like 2,700 of those so that you can set them up as a set. But once those are gone, even if I jump, I have great sales and I call them up middle of August or September, I'm not going to see that product till probably end of December or January. So I just want to let everybody know, because these have been shown for a year or more, and people know they're out there. And I'm starting to get a lot of emails. When can I order? When can I order? So, I just want to let everybody know so that
get them while you
check.
can.
What's that?
I say get them while you can.
Right, because I don't want you to come in October and think, hey, I'm going to get one of those Rifle Mitts, and they're all gone. So.
Right. So jump in and get them now. Well, I tell you what.
Absolutely.
Let's take our last break.
Yep, and then we can get on the personal side of Randy, because we got a few questions for our interviewee.
Always do.
You sure you want to go there?
You may say to us, why did they go there? When we ask you. We'll take it easy on you. All right, okay. We're going to step outside. We're going to take our last break. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Fourth segment of the show. I think this is Danny's favorite part of the show because he gets to cut loose a little bit here.
Well, we get to cut loose. Not going to lie.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Danny.
All right, Randy. You're a hunter.
Okay, Danny.
It's real simple. Obviously you've done some hunting for elk, whitetail, mule deer, whatever else you've hunted for. What is your favorite wild game dish that you would say that is my go-to dish that you would make for Mike and Dan?
Elk. My wife takes, no matter what the cut is. We do a lot of burger. We only take the best steaks. I don't do roasts and stuff like that. So I just tell the butcher, give me the best steaks, and then the rest of it, grind it for burger. But my wife will take maybe a part of the back strap, and she cubes it, and then she uses onion. She doesn't do a lot of seasoning. Butter, maybe a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm not sure. She's a much better cook than I am. But it's so tender, and she doesn't cook it very long. It's got a little red to it. It's not bloody or anything, but it's red because you can overcook like any type of venison or wild game. So, but that is really yummy, especially with mashed potatoes and, of course, being from Idaho. So.
I was going to say, had to get the state plug in there.
Right? Potatoes. Exactly. Okay, so I know you traveled all the way to the ATA, and you were driving for hours on end. I remember talking to you about that.
Yeah.
On the radio, when you're driving all those hours, what's your favorite thing to listen to? A radio station, podcast? What kind of music or do you like to listen to?
Well, music-wise, I've always loved country music. I listen to Waylon and Willie and
yeah.
That's I'm 57 years old, but my dad listened to Merle Haggard.
Yeah.
So that's what I grew up with.
Old country.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And even up until 2000. But one thing, I have satellite radio because I'm just in the truck so much and I don't want to search for stations all the time. So, Lithium is the Seattle grunge sound music.
Oh.
And I didn't listen to that when it was first time around, and I listen to it now and I really like it. It's so I'm not really stuck in one genre, I love country music, but I'll listen to Lithium. 80s rock music is nice. And then when all else fails, you just hit Fox News.
There you go. When in doubt.
Oh,
well, you got to get caught up on what's going on in the world.
We would get along good on a road trip. I can tell you right now.
Exactly.
That's good stuff.
All right, Mike, what's the next question?
Okay, well, you're taking them same trips up and down. Maybe you're traveling I-80 coming back into Michigan. Maybe you want to come back and do a hunt back here in the fall or maybe late season. And I know Danny, Danny and I are driving down the road, we each got our own snacks that we like. Danny's, like on the way up and back, he was eating sunflower seeds. Mine is hot tamale candies. What is your go-to snack?
Red vines.
Red vines. There you go. I'm a licorice guy. Yeah.
Yeah. When I go elk hunting or when I went turkey hunting a few weeks ago, my wife always gets one of those big tubs of red vines.
Yeah. Don't tell me you put the whole tub in your backpack.
No. But I mean, it's like once you start on those things, you don't want the licorice to dry out. So I mean,
right? Yeah. You don't want it to go to waste. You got to use it.
Yeah, exactly. Good thing there's other people in camp, but that's a go-to. I mean, I love licorice. Almonds.
Okay.
I'm a big almond guy, or peanuts. I like those. So.
All right. Okay. We're gonna take a step back in time a little bit here. You said you didn't start hunting until you were 30, so you said you're 57. So you've been hunting about 27 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Amongst those 27 years across time, or maybe it was something in your childhood even before that just sticks in your mind, an outdoor experience. But if it's hunting or fishing, what is the story you like to tell, or is there something that sticks in your mind and goes, man, that's my best all-time story?
Okay. You want before hunting?
Doesn't matter. You pick it.
Okay. The best before hunting story, the two cousins that brought me into hunting.
Okay.
I mean, they grew up hunting. Their father was a hunter. And we were over at their house, and there was a bottle of doe pee on the windowsill.
I see where this is going.
Yeah. This guy had no clue what that stuff was.
Okay.
So what do? I'm like, So I unscrew the bottle, and it was a squeeze type.
Uh-huh.
And I thought I'll just get a little, whiff, and I unscrewed that thing. So it got, and anyway, so that was.
Anyway, you got a good whiff.
Oh yeah, and they thought that was funnier than all get out. So.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, greenhorn. Of course, I was like hunting.
Yeah, what's that?
Because my father was not a hunter, so.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And probably the best memory that one of the best memories, and because elk hunting can be hit and miss, and it took me a lot of years to understand how to do it. But I had the one cousin that came out from Michigan to hunt with me, and we had hunted, I believe, 7 or 9 days. And he had an opportunity, and I'd had an opportunity, and it didn't work out. So the last morning, I was trying to find a way into this certain meadow, and it was dark. We were driving around on machines. I couldn't find the entrance to go the back way into this meadow. So I got upset, and I said, okay, we're going the other way. So we drove around the other way, and the minute we shut the machines off, elk are bugling all around us. And I looked at him, and I said, grab your pack, we got to go. And the elk were coming up this draw, and I knew they were going to come in front of us. So I knew the trail system, and the trail split. Well, we ended up taking the wrong trail, and we got into a bunch of blowdown. So all of a sudden, 2 cows go screaming up the hill, and all of a sudden, a huge bull. I mean, and I'm pretty good at sizing them up. I mean, this was a 380, 400-inch bull. He came, his body size was massive. And 7x7. He comes running up the hill, screaming, goes past us. I'm like, we've got to get back down this trail, cut down, cut back in, and because the rest of them are coming. So we get around. He's up there with the cows. Bunch more are down below coming up. I told Jay, get down the hill, and I'm sitting here like this, and I see Jay down the hill. All of a sudden, a spike. Now, this is the last day. So a spike's coming towards me. He turns. I draw, settle in, let it go, hit a twig, watch my arrow shoot off in the air. I'm like, dang it. So I look down the hill, and Jay's going, and I'm like, no, I missed. And he's like, so all these cows are mewing, the bull's up there screaming, there's other bulls screaming, elk are walking around. So it kind of calms down. I signaled Jay to come up the hill, and he comes up, and I'm like, no, I missed. And he goes, no, I shot one. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, he walked 40 yards. I ranged this hole in between two bushes, and he walked right in between her, and I zipped him. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And right then a 5x6 came over the hill, and he's walking right towards us. And my cousin Jay goes, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, if I get a chance, I'm going to kill him. And
right.
And yeah, so I had another arrow knocked, and he's walking towards us, and he stepped over a log, and I let it go. I don't know, 15 yards, 12 yards. And he turns, runs off, and he sets down, and he starts doing the head up, head down. All these elk are screaming. I've got one over here that's dying. He's got one down the hill that we don't know where it is. All of a sudden, those two cows come flying down the hill. And then here he comes, and he stops 30 yards right in front of us and puts on a display, bugling, carrying on. And I looked at, I leaned over and I went, Jay, enjoy this moment. I said, this is the most magical moment I've ever spent in the woods. And he was just huge. And he rounded him up and went back down the draw. Well, Jay goes, come on, let's go find mine. And I'm like, well, mine's right over here. Let's go check him out, and then we'll go find yours. So we go over, we high five. That's awesome. Okay, now let's go back and go down the hill. And so Jay goes, okay, here's where I shot. That's where he was. So I go down there. Yep, I got blood. So he comes down there. We walk 10 feet around a bush, and there's his elk laying there. And we're high-fiving, and I turn around and look. My elk is 40 feet up the hill from his. If we would have just looked around, we would have seen his laying down there. And, wow. So, within from 8 o'clock to 8:20, the last day, 2 elk are down. And then the work began because we had to get him back to camp, get him cut up, get him in coolers, pack camp up, and get home so he could get on a flight to get home. But that was one of the most magical moments I've ever been in the woods.
Those are once-in-a-lifetime memories.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Wow, simply incredible. I got to ask, how did you guys, just the two of you, and you got both elk packed out, how long did it take you?
Fortunately, there was enough of a trail. We gutted, and then his was a raghorn. Mm-hmm. So we cut him in half, mm-hmm. and we loaded the front half on the back of his machine, and then the back half on the front or something like that, and we tied it down. We took the half and half on each machine because we were each on 4-wheelers, mm-hmm. and we putted back to camp. And my dad had been up there the whole time, and my dad had it up to here, and he's like, "Oh, good, you got one. Let's go." And we're like, "No, hang on a minute. We'll be right back." So
there's another one.
Yeah, we putted back, but mine was big enough that it was a rodeo trying to get that thing on the machines. I mean, we actually had a stump. But we should have quartered it. Normally we quarter them, but it was a nice, brisk, cold morning, and we were full of, vim and vigor, and mm-hmm. we thought we could haunch them up on. No. Wow. I mean, it was all we could do to get them up on the machine. Then we putted back to camp. Dad loaded everything up, and he took off. But it took us probably 6 hours to quarter them out, get the hides off them, get them on ice, and then get camp loaded and get on the road about 2:33 or 4, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Maybe I gotta
but we were fortunate. That way we didn't have to, pack them out. There's a lot of times you're spending days packing them out. So.
Right.
Right, exactly.
You had a question,
Maybe
Dan?
I got to ask you. I hear you're a veteran.
Yes.
What service?
I was in the United States Marine Corps.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. It was one of the most interesting, enjoyable memories of my life. I mean, you can always ask a Marine, would you ever do it again? And they probably go, but they're proud they were in. Yeah. I mean, I'm proud I served. I was in 81 to 87.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
81 to 87.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1983, after I graduated high school, I'm trying to think. Yes, I turned 18 October 23rd. You remember that date?
October 23rd.
The barracks, the barracks in Lebanon were bombed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, they were pulling East Coast Marines. I was at Camp Pendleton. They were pulling East Coast Marines. And once that was over with, I actually ended up rooming with a guy that was over there during that time. And he was supposed to be he was supposed to be in the barracks that night. But there was a buddy that wanted some time off. So Sergeant, won't say his name,
right,
hopped in the Jeep and said, "Hey, I'll cover for you tonight." And he was gone when that barracks blew.
Wow. That was my 18th birthday, and the reason it sticks in my head so much is that's when I signed up for selective service.
Really?
The day that happened, yeah, I turned 18. You sign up for the draft, and it just gives me chills to still think about it. I remember that plain as day.
Yeah.
So you were in at that time.
Yeah, and when I got out in '87, re-enlistment bonuses, there were none.
Mm-hmm.
I was an E5 doing an E7's job. I loved the Marine Corps, but I was standing wall locker inspections like a private, and I was just ready to move on.
Sure.
I never thought I was going to be a lifer.
Right.
But then right after that, I think it was 88, 89 Desert Storm.
Right, yeah.
Desert Storm. And we were practicing for that. I mean, we knew the upper echelon people knew that there was going to be the next, conflict was going to be somewhere in the Middle East.
Right.
So we were practicing for that. So.
Well, we appreciate you giving up part of your time to take care of that for us. I mean, it's
you bet.
It's thank you. That's all we can say is thank you.
Sure.
So, I got a question here. We had one of our listeners. I don't know, maybe Danny had asked this at one point, but I know I was chasing the problems we were having there with Ma Bell. But we got a buddy of ours that's down in West Virginia. He's a huge turkey hunter, and he says, "You do any turkey hunting up there in the mountains?" I mean, I know you talked about turkey hunting, but is it there? Is it down in the valleys? Is it up in the mountains? Where's it at?
No, there's some turkeys out in the sagebrush in the foothills.
Okay.
But where I've always turkey hunted is up in the mountains.
Okay.
And, I marvel, and I wish I could do it, where, you've got your hardwoods, but then you got a nice, crop field or soybean field or alfalfa field or a nice grass field, and you set up your blind. Out here, it's really different. It's a lot of run and gun. You get to a spot, you make your call, you get a response, try to figure out what he's doing, and then move in either down or up and hope that he stays down or up, depending on what you're doing. But you do a lot of chasing. I mean, it's just because they, like when I went, they weren't henned up yet. And every time we went out, we got responses, which was awesome. And we almost had a chance. My buddy Matthew was the shooter, and I was calling. But as a rookie turkey hunter, which I haven't done it very much, only 2-3 times, I think I called too much.
Okay.
And it's not because I think I'm a good caller and I love hearing myself. I just thought, okay, I can keep him coming. But he hung up and he looked around. He didn't see any hens, and Matthew said he could have possibly taken the shot, but he decided not to.
Right. Because
he wasn't 100% sure of the shot, which is great. I'm glad he did that. But it's fun. It's kind of like, in some ways, the chess game is kind of like elk hunting.
Yeah.
But I'm better at elk hunting.
Hey, there's people that's got their strengths and weaknesses, and you just got to know which ones they are, right?
You know the part we were missing, Mike?
What's that?
They weren't talking back to us today.
The
last 4 days.
They were tight-lipped the whole 4 days.
Yeah.
So,
why do you think that is? I mean, why do they? I mean, is it because they're with hens, or is it the weather, or?
Seem to think it's a lot to do with the weather this year. It's been really screwed up, and it's really not been super warm yet. And I just don't think they're really cranked up, and they're not into that heavy breeding mode yet. It didn't hit 70 degrees until this week. And
and were you up in the UP?
No, we were in northern lower.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
It was about 2.5 hours north of Flint, up near Alpena.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we were up in the northeastern part up there. But yeah, the weather's played a lot of it, and it's just been a weird season so far, And actually, Danny and I were talking that we haven't heard of a lot of birds being killed. Usually we see it all over Facebook, but it just hasn't been that plethora of birds being shot this year that we've seen, at least on social media. So I don't know.
But you still got some time.
I'm going to have one other opportunity in 2 weeks when I go up. It'll be the last part of the season, the last weekend of the season. I'm going to try to get a hunt in. I'm taking my grandson up. Be his first experience in the woods. He's 3 going on 4, and I just want to take him up and have a good time. Let him have some fun, see some animals, and maybe catch a fish or two. So just to get away.
That's awesome.
There you go.
So, but no, we always wanted to ask for Tim there. He's always looking for experiences to get out and see what other people are doing with turkeys. Now, are you hunting Miriams over there, or are those Rios in that area? Do you know? Yeah, okay. I didn't know what species you had over that way.
That's a good question. They're big birds. They're colorful.
They're turkeys.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally gone 3 times.
Okay, right on.
So I'm learning, and of course the guys that I'm going with have about as much experience as I do. So
hey, well, that sounds like a great time, though. Seriously.
Yeah, because we don't take each other too seriously. So.
You can't, man. You're just out there to have a good time.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
good stuff.
There you go.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Hey, one more time.
Go ahead.
We talked about the mitts. Where can people go to find it and find out how to order them?
Okay, right now you can go to betterthehunt.com. You'll see the insulated bow mitt on the front cover. And then if you go up to shop, hit shop, it'll show you the other mitts and it'll say coming soon. And then you can read about them. And then we will put it out on Facebook and Instagram about a week, 2 weeks prior that, hey, this is our release date. And then we'll be open for business on the new mitts. But the bow mitt is available in those 3 camos currently.
There you go. Get over to
Go
Better
check
the
them
Hunt.
out. Get online. If you got any questions, you can find Better the Hunt on Facebook as well. And or hit us up. We'll get in touch with Randy, get your questions answered, anything you need to know about Better the Hunt, and we'll take care of it.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, let's wrap up the podcast portion of the show, and we'll hang out here on the live stream for a few more minutes. But for the podcast people, get over there and check it out, betterthehunt.com, and cruise through the website there and take a look at what he's got to offer. We've got him on our bows here. I'm going to start shooting them and playing around with them, and can't wait to get out in the field this fall with them. So that'll do it for us this week. Next week, Danny, what do we got lined up next week?
Next week, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do wrap up our turkey season. I think whoever's not wrapping it up or doing or finishing, we're gonna talk about it.
All right, so that'll do it for us this week, folks. Tune in next week, and Danny and I, and hopefully maybe we can get Ken Cicluna on and talk about his turkey hunt. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Y'all take care. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Bait,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Lim Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Plain Coffee,
Packer Mac,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.